Hey everybody, Dr. Knuckle here with eSleep Wellness. Okay, so last time I had mentioned when we talked about exposing yourself to sunlight during the day, I had mentioned that there were some other environmental things that I wanted to cover. I just wanted to wrap up the sunlight conversation just because we had been talking about melatonin and the light-dark interactions with our circadian rhythm. But I want to come back to the environment. We talked about sleeping in a dark room. Well, another thing that's really important for your bedroom environment is noise. Now, we probably already know that noise can be disruptive to our sleep, but do we have to have a dead silent room? What is the data on having, some people prefer to have a fan blowing in the room. Is that helpful or harmful? So we're going to get into that today. So believe it or not, the answer to this question is actually more complicated than you would think. So there are actually several factors that go into deciding if a noise is harmful for your sleep. First of all, how loud it is, of course. Also, what's the frequency? Is it continuous or intermittent? And is it a familiar noise? So let's start off with how loud something is. Of course, that's what we most often think of. And obviously louder is worse, but for a point of reference, let's just start off with what some basic sounds would be. So a whisper would be about 30 decibels. Just general conversation is around 60, and a running motorcycle is around 95. So research shows that really the ideal would be to not have noises louder than 30 to 40 decibels. And anything that's 50 decibels or louder is likely to disrupt your sleep. Now, if it is under 50 decibels, it kind of depends on what sleep stage you're in. So if you hear something that's around 50 decibels, if you're in the lighter stages of sleep, so stage 1 or 2, it is more likely to wake you up. If you are in stage 3, which is slow wave deep sleep, that is less likely to disrupt your sleep. Now, there are some individual differences. And so just because someone wakes up at 50 doesn't mean we all will. We all hear differently during the day. So it makes sense that that would carry into the night. Some of us just hear better. Some of us are hard of hearing. So it would take more decibels in order to wake someone who's hard of hearing. But these are general rules that, if 50 decibels would probably wake you if you're a lighter stage sleep, and less so if you're in deep sleep. Now, another thing that matters is frequency. And the more frequent a noise is, the more it is going to disrupt your sleep. We've all had probably this experience of hearing a noise, and maybe the first or second or third time doesn't wake us up per se, but maybe we realize we've been hearing the noise longer than we thought we did because we had started to incorporate it into a dream or something. And then we finally wake up and come out of our sleep and we realize, that it was actually a noise and not a dream. Also, intermittent noises are going to be more disruptive than a continuous noise. And so if you have, intermittent noises may be a door slamming, that tends to remind me of like being in a hotel, but you may be in the dorms or in sort of like cohabitating living. Maybe you have like teenage kids that are slamming doors at an odd hour. So neighbors, apartments, there's definitely, a lot of reasons to be hearing doors. Traffic noises, depending on if you're on a flight path for an airplane, airplanes flying overhead, helicopters, trains, the train whistle. These have actually been studied in a lab environment of using these intermittent noises, and it shows that people who are exposed to these intermittent noises have more frequent nighttime awakenings. They have arousals, which refers to like going from a deep sleep to a lighter stage sleep, and they have less total sleep time. And when these intermittent noises have been studied out in the field, same holds true. More awakenings, more arousals, less sleep time, and also have more stage 1 sleep, that's light sleep, and less slow wave sleep, that's deep sleep. Now, one interesting thing is that it's a little hard to tell the impact on REM sleep because that's our dream sleep, and it ends up being a little hard to parse out during dream state. So we don't know as much because of the interference with dreaming. We're less sure about the impact on REM sleep. And then another thing that matters is your familiarity with the noises. So if you've ever slept maybe a first night in somewhere that you aren't familiar with, you seem to recognize, you hear noises and are more alert and trying to figure out what they are. Then after several nights of being in that environment, and now those noises are less disruptive to your sleep. So that's in one sense where being in a familiar environment will be beneficial to your sleep because you are familiar with the noises that your house makes. You know, maybe if like back in the day, I lived in a studio apartment when I was in grad school, and it was a studio. So I had the refrigerator that ran in the same place I was sleeping. And when I first moved in, it was disconcerting to hear hear the hum of the refrigerator turn on and off. But with time, I just got used to it. It didn't affect my sleep. Same goes for your household. Now, on the flip side, sometimes hearing familiar things is disruptive, like someone speaking your own name, that will wake you up than them saying somebody else's name. Or if you're hearing household members' voices that you're familiar with, that can wake you up. Moms in particular may be familiar with this, that once you've had kids, you are listening, even though you're asleep, you are more prone to waking up when you hear a baby cry than if you don't have any kids. It's not my kid crying. So the familiarity is sort of a mixed bag. It can be advantageous, but it can also be a hindrance to your sleep. So all of these factors play in when it comes to affecting your sleep. Now, what do you do about it? Well, if you are in an environment where you are close to the noise, let's say like a kitchen, and the bedroom that you sleep in is right there, then it'd be best if you could move to a bedroom that's farther down the hall and away. If you have circumstances where you can move the bedroom environment from the noise, that's best. And that would be difficult probably for a lot of people. So, okay, then what's next? Also, if you have outdoor noise pollution like traffic and all these things, do your best to try to insulate windows, cracks. I mean, that's good for, in general, the temperature too, but trying to find ways of insulating the bedroom from noises, using things in the bedroom that soak noise very well, like you're in a music studio or something. And you can also do earplugs. That's another thing. Some people find that very bothersome, but it does blunt, it doesn't remove, but blunts noises. And then now, because we know that intermittent noise at 35 decibels or louder is more likely to interrupt your sleep and cause awakenings, in that case, then continuous noise is better. It then can mediate that noise and attenuate it, and so that you're not getting that intermittent noise that is more disruptive to your sleep than a continuous noise. So in that case, you can use white noise, fans, waterfalls, whatever your bag is. Okay, so that is the tip for today, is make the biggest attempt to keep your room quiet and find ways to, mitigate noises if you don't have a quiet environment. All right, that's the tip for today. See you next time.